I keep thinking about a question. What happens when being alone stop becoming a phase and start becoming your normal, your reality? In the beginning, when you do everything alone, you feel empowered. You feel like you made it in life. You feel like you're the main character. You feel like you're finally living your life. And suddenly, that becomes your coping mechanism. That becomes your defense mechanism. You stop asking for help. You stop reaching out. You stop believing that people can genuinely support you and help you. And finally, one day, you entirely stop relying on people. You often ask this question: have I become really that strong? Like super strong? Or have I got used to having no one to rely on? And slowly, you start editing your needs. When people fell short being the rock when you needed them most in your lowest moment, you reach out less and less. Not that your needs just got disappeared, but reaching out to them felt pointless. Instead of having those needs met by somebody, you start fulfilling them all by yourself. Not everything at once, but slowly. Whatever you wanted to do with somebody else, you start doing it alone. And you just realize that you don't really need them to do those things. You could do it all by yourself. You could enjoy it all by yourself. But time to time, this tiny question pops into your head and it says, what would it feel like if I was doing it with somebody else? Not because you're unhappy, not because you can't do it alone, but human beings are built for connection. And at that point, usually two things happened. One, you entirely ignore everybody, you continue doing everything all by yourself. Or because of that tiny question, you start focusing and giving more attention to people and their actions. Every small text feels significant. Every small gestures feels meaningful. Attention that you get feels bigger than it is. And you start asking yourself, have I become more emotional? Or have I been deprived of connection for too long? But I think loneliness doesn't just make you appreciate people more, it also make you forget what healthy connection feels like. Sadly, those gestures were not that great. And rejection comes without wasting any time, and very evidently. And after enough disappointment, you become little more careful, little more guarded, and little more afraid to getting attached to something that only existed in your head. You start yearning for care. It's like you can't remember when was the last time somebody chose you and kept choosing you. And all of this makes you a little stronger, but also a little harsher than before. And now you don't consider anyone at all. But that doesn't give you peace though. Instead, loneliness visits you like a cloudy afternoon on a random sunny day. You're not necessarily sad, but certain question keeps coming to your head. Is this it? That's all? Are we not ever going to find somebody who is capable of real connection? Am I going to be alone? Or how do I know this is the one? Or how do I know this is not another lesson? But I'm tired of lesson, isn't it? I think one of the dangerous thing loneliness can do is makes us believe that this is our permanent reality. It makes us believe like just because we are alone, we are always going to be alone. But being used to loneliness and being destined to loneliness are not the same thing. And I think some of us mistake adaptation to identity. We become lonely for so long, we start calling our survival mechanism as our personality. Maybe you're not naturally distant. Maybe you're not hyper independent. Maybe you're not someone who doesn't need anyone. Maybe you're just someone who got very good at surviving being alone. Maybe the goal is not becoming someone who doesn't feel lonely. Maybe it's making sure loneliness doesn't become a thing that decides who you are.